Before I show you how to cut your popsicle sticks, I want to take a moment to point out that we are using a very sharp blade today, and you will need to be super careful not to cut yourself. If you are young, please have an adult help you. If you are new, then just please take your time. A couple quick points. Always move your blade in one direction. You want to move it away from your fingers. Never in a sawing motion. You want to avoid cutting the full width of your stick because accidents can happen and the knife can cut and slip. So you want to go halfway and then halfway back and meet in the middle. This is also going to aid in keeping your line straight. You want to use the appropriate amount of pressure, which is very lightly, very lightly. You can later put a little more pressure on, but for your initial cuts it's going to be just so light, and you're going to cut through layers and layers with scratches more than cuts. Now, because they have super thin edges, we don't actually cut these. What we will be doing is a rocking motion, which I will go into further detail when we get that far. The most important thing is to take your time and be safe. You're also going to want to do this on a surface that you don't care, just in case anything slips. For my video, for my work surface, I used an old piece of drywall which I covered in contact paper, which is really nice because it has lots of cuts in it, but the contact paper tends to go back together so you don't see them, and it works nicely for this demonstration. Now, today we're going to be cutting. You will need 4 popsicle sticks. You will need an emery board or sandpaper. Either will work. I'm going with an emery board because I'm calling this the poor man's method. We're going to go with the emery board today. Now, I do have this, which most people have, and it's lovely, but mine tends to come loose, so I'm not going to be using this knife today. Now, I also have this, which came in a model kit, and I love this, but I've been using it a lot and the tip has broken off and the blade is not replaceable, so I'm not going to be able to use that today. If you don't have a hobby knife, you can also use a utility knife or a box cutter. I do have this super heavy box cutter, but if I can avoid it, I don't like to use it because the blades tend to wiggle, see, and that will affect our straight lines. So what I'm going to use today is just this inexpensive, cheapo utility knife, which has a nice straight blade, and if it gets dull, I can just snap it off and there's more blades available to me. Now, first thing you want to do is cut. Now, again, we need 2 sticks that are 2 3/4 inches. We need 2 sticks that are 3 1/4 inches. And then we're going to need a small square that's approximately 9 by 9. Now, I cut these out previously. You can see they're very small. And because they're small, the best way to keep your fingers away from the cutting there is to start with a big stick. So we're going to take our big stick here, and we don't even need the ruler yet. We can use a ruler, but we really don't need the ruler. What we want to do, now I'm going to need a little bit of height because my knife is a little thicker than your average craft knife. So I'm just going to put another piece of wood down, and what we're going to do here is find the curve and get rid of that altogether. And how we do that is we lay it and then we pull slightly just to make a scratch, and I can see the scratch, and then I'm going to use my knife as a pen or pencil. I'm going to hold it that way, and I'm going to lightly scratch in the line that I just made until there's a nice dent and I can see it. We're not supposed to go all the way. Halfway. And we're going to turn it, and we're going to go in the other direction. Find your notch. If you can't see it, that's fine. You can feel for it and you will find it. You can add a tiny bit of pressure if you're confident. If not, just lightly scratch. You will feel those layers of wood being cut. Now, on the sides, you're going to find your notch. You are not going to cut. You are not going to saw. You're going to rock. You'll rock your knife. Give it a bit of an indent. Make sure you get that opposite corner. It's important. We're going to do both sides. Rock, rock, rock. Now on this side we have a notch here and a notch here. That's going to be your measurement. It's much easier to make the line straight if you use the notches to measure your second major cut, because if you measure with a ruler, sometimes you cut this one just slightly off the other one and instead you end up with a cut that's like an angle. Don't want that at this point. So I don't need that. Okay, so again I need a little bit of height because of my knife, so I'm just going to put that underneath. Now I'm going to feel for the notch. It's right there, and I can see this one. I'm just going to rock to make a little dent and make pull slightly, but not all the way, just slightly. I'm going to start in the corner, go to the other corner with a very light scratch. Now I can start to dig. If it doesn't go easily, pick it up, lessen your pressure, and you will get faster at this. I'm taking my time with it so that you can see what's happening. I'm going to need to flip. Hopefully you can see what's happening. It's raining like crazy today. So scratch, scratch, scratch. When you get more confident, as I said, you can apply more pressure, but really just be so careful because I won't be responsible for missing digits. Now we're going to rock the corners again because sometimes the wood will accumulate in that area. Just quickly. Now you're going to wiggle, and it comes right off, and you have a beautiful edge there. Now we're going to use our emery board, and we're not going to press. We're just going to let it glide lightly. Shouldn't have a ton of sawdust. Okay. Now, because these are approximately 10 millimeters, not quite 10 millimeters, but almost. Almost. It's like 6. So we're going to go 10. I'm going to need a little height again. Going to line that up with my 0. Going to take my knife. I'm going to notch. And then I'm going to rock. Just to give it a scratch. Find your notch. Lightly scratch. And keep that line straight. Lightly scratch. Approximately halfway. And we're going to flip. And actually, let's not flip the piece because it's so small. Let's flip our arm. Find the notch. Drag away from major organs. Do not cut yourself. Do not press too hard. I'm pressing too hard. Tell I'm pressing hard because my hands get a little shaky when I press hard. And you see how I slipped there because I went all the way across. It could be dangerous, so be very super careful. I'm going to rock. Make sure you get that other corner because that's where your guide's going to be. Rock. Now we're going to lay flat. Still need height. The only problem with this knife is I need the height all the time. Rock, just to get that scratch. Use like a pen. Dig into the scratch lightly, lightly, lightly. Turn your hand, lightly. 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 Alright, once you have a reasonable gash in there, then you can apply a little more pressure because the blade's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be in the gash. Still only go halfway, a little over halfway. Whenever you feel any resistance, stop. Now, turn around, pull. Can you see this? Pull. Watch and pull. Do this side one more time. Just because I feel like I slacked in that cut. Now we're going to rock one more time because wood can accumulate in the corners. I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to be thorough and careful. Wiggle, wiggle, and it will come right off. It's beautiful. Don't press, lightly sand. There you have a nice pretty square. It's not perfect. The smaller ones never are. That's okay. It'll be fine. For this particular project, your angles are going to, I expect your angles to be off a little. But, okay, so let's just move on. Now when you're measuring your stick for the longer pieces, again they're 2 3/4 and 3 1/4, 2 of each. Two things you want to pay attention to. One, your ruler may not start the one at the edge here. So if it doesn't, you want to check. Make sure that you're lining up with that edge. And I like to use another popsicle stick sometimes just to line it up, make sure it's straight. And for this one, we're going to find the 2.75 mark. Since we already took this off, it'll just give us more room to work with. So we're going to do the short side first. I'm going to turn this because, again, I need some height very quickly. That doesn't have to be lined up. This one does. And consider this all practice. However, you will be using these pieces in a small project that's going to help you later cut wood faster. Okay, so find your 2 3/4 mark, which is right here. Make sure it's straight and pull to scratch. Pull to scratch. Now, if you can't draw a straight line, that's okay. This is, like I said, this is mainly practice. Okay, so there's my measurement. It's just a scratch. It's just a little scratch. We're going to go find the corner there, notch slightly, pull into the scratch. Super carefully, not a lot of pressure. If you have trouble with your hands, sometimes I have trouble with my hands, you can get some scotch tape it down. It's going to slow you down, but better to be safe than sorry. Remember, if you can't see your notch, feel for it. I actually can't feel it. I didn't notch it good enough. There it is. I got it. Pull slowly to the middle, meet with the other one. Now, just 3 pulls, got a nice, good gash there. Now we're going to do the same thing we did before, and we're going to rock it. We're going to rock it, rock it, rock it, rock it, rock it. Make sure you get that corner. You're going to need that notch. Just one more. Okay, I need height. Now I'm going to find the notch. Again, I can't see it, but I can feel it. This one's a little harder to see. Just going to trust my knife. Right now, I'm going to rock, maybe pull slightly, not full length, just short. I got a good scratch. Three good scratches. Be careful. Stay in the lines. See, I'm pressing a little hard, trying to make this go a little faster. Okay, now I'm going to notch again, and we're going to try to wiggle. Now, if it doesn't come right off, and that's going to happen sometimes, this one did, but sometimes it doesn't, you might want to go back and just give it another run through with your knife on either side. Lightly, lightly, lightly sand. Now, for this next piece, we actually do not need a ruler because we need two that are exactly this size. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece, we're going to match it to this piece, and keep in mind that all sticks are not created equal. So if you come up with something like this in your box, it's got dirty marks on it, and then I have some that are warped, and then I have some that are not. I mean, they just have flaws, in which case you might want to set those aside and use them for another project. In this particular project, I'm going to try to pick out some decent pieces of wood. Now I'm going to line this up here, and hold it, and then lightly. So it's going to be light pressure, so it shouldn't move on you. Lightly, lightly, lightly. And now this is going to be a lot faster, because you really can go all the way across if you like, and you don't care about your surface, because you are going to hit the surface if you go all the way across. But this is going to make your life easier and faster. Now we're going to do the corner notches again. And again, you don't want to measure again and do it, because if you do, you may be just a fraction of a millimeter off, in which case it's just gonna mess with your cut. So you don't want to do that. You just really want to make your notches like you're supposed to. Don't take shortcuts. Notch, notch. Like I said, you will get faster at this. It is a little bit time consuming when you first start. And even after you get experience, it's a little bit time consuming. It's going to really depend on how well you want your piece to look like it's been made. If you don't care, you can always grab a pair of scissors. Let's use this ugly one, and just cut. And unfortunately, though, it will leave you with this piece, which is completely unusable. If you do get a straight cut, which we have not here, you can see it's like totally not straight. Even if you get a straight cut on the one side, on the other side you can see it has these bite marks from the scissors. So I really wouldn't do that unless you just don't care. I mean, if you don't care, though, I don't think you'd have made it this far into the video. So let's go back to this piece here. We have our two notches. We're going to stack. And you don't have to do the stacking if you're using a flatter knife, but because this has this like margin here, I need it for the rocking motion and maybe a slight pull. I'm going to find my edge. I'm going to trace. Trace and cut. These are very shallow, which is fine. See what happens. If it doesn't wiggle right off, we'll go back and add a little more depth. It should snap. If I force it, it may splinter, so you don't want to force it, but wiggle. It's beautiful. It's actually very beautiful. Lightly. Lightly. There we go. We have two lovely edges, two lovely pieces, plus our 9mm piece. 9-10 millimeters, roughly. It doesn't have to be exact. Now I'm going to jump ahead, put my blade away, and show you the pieces I have cut already. And at this point you can pause and go and practice and cut some more pieces. These are 3 1/4 inch. These are 2.75 inches.